right, we're doing a live stream, obviously. Let me go ahead and flip some messages on. Whoops, I gotta check something real quick. I gotta check a text. I'll be right back. Okay, cool. All right, and so I am going to set up a little stream title. Who knows? We're gonna be talking a little bit about democracies. We're gonna be talking about we're gonna be talking about stuff that's obviously super important. Wealth stratification is one of the topics that political scientists might study. And yeah, it's important for democracies. So freedom-loving peoples of YouTube, are freedom growers and stuff like this. Obviously you guys might have some opinions about poverty, wealth. We might have heuristics as well. We might understand sort of tacitly or latently why it's important to talk about the 1%, but we also might have conceptions that, if you have a billionaire class, this is going to lead to the collapse of society at the end of the day. Or you might have these other views and discussions as well, right? And so, it's interesting. It's interesting to contextualize, when we see sort of nanny panny sort of talk on social media, about from like far right politicians talking about, well, you're going to have a communist Marxist revolution. Maybe this is, who knows, maybe this is worth exploring. Maybe it isn't. It isn't, right? I don't think my opinions, there's not actually parity. I don't know if you care about my opinion that much, but I don't think there's parity between people who are upset about greed, selfishness, hoarding, inefficient economies. And then on the other side, people who don't have a solution and voice fear. They voice fear, basically. Hold on one second. She's going to call her parents. Yeah.
Huh?
She's going to call her parents.
Yeah, I was just going to say, sure.
Sorry, I had a scheduling faux pas I had to sort out. Let's see. Cool. Yeah, and so that's kind of what we're talking about. First, I do want to mention too, this is a big deal when we're talking about democracy and democracies, just what's at stake. And I don't mean to be sound like extreme or sound like I'm trying to, point out something that is like a crisis when we're not actually in a crisis. But when political scientists talk about democracy and democracies, there's usually two things that are sort of corely at stake. The first is indicators of success, and you might look at things like the inclusion of women, access to education. You might look at whether or not elections are trustworthy. These are sort of the, your run-of-the-mill, top-level things, not that difficult to measure, not that difficult to sort of measure data over time on stuff like elections. And again, just, are you guys feminists in reality? You guys are real hardcore feminists, actually. That's always dope to kind of look at. But then the other side of it is also political scientists also talk about, is democracy going to collapse? Is democracy going to collapse? Straight one hand. Hey, shout out to the gooners and the loons in the chat, guys. Shout out to the gooners and the loons. If you guys are gooning to political science, politics, philosophy, religion, any of those topics are pretty dope. Culture, you guys want to just banter a little bit back and forth, feel free. Who's your favorite singer, Justin Bieber or Selena Gomez? I like Selena Gomez. I do like Selena Gomez. Not gonna lie. Justin Bieber is obviously a very talented musician. I think if you guys like pop music, there is something that sets apart. Because I'm 36. I'm a millennial, so I'm about that old. But yeah, Justin Bieber has been a musician since his childhood, and so he's able to put together sort of more complex pop tracks. But Selena Gomez, in terms of authenticity, I think she is great call out. She's like one of the gold standards of pop music, in my opinion. I think for authenticity, when we're talking about, if we talk about like the top level, sort of like what you actually want to hear as a listener or in a studio or something like that, you can't buy that. You can't buy it. You can't buy the fact that people are going to insist on people like that. Rip Watts is anti-racist. I see in chat. Rip Watts says, I love black women. And so cool. I don't know if that's the definition of anti-racist, but it seems like it's adjacent or it's running alongside what anti-racism is. Anti-racism is maybe a term we'd use in civil society to talk about an insistence on either DEI in the workplace. We'd maybe talk about we'd maybe use anti-racism to talk about ensuring that we are not just electing politicians from different backgrounds, different, if we talk about, all people use different social stratums for people, but we're actually fostering and facilitating meaningful conversations, not just about small policy issues, but about large ones as well. Hey, shout out to Yuppie. Yeah, I don't have a bro. Shout out to India as well. Yep. Trump's Ryan Beans has an opinion on Donald Trump that I don't totally disagree with, right? Shout out if you guys like that old punk rock anarchy sort of side of things. Cool. Yeah, I don't even know with Trump's repeal of civil liberties and stuff, how long on YouTube I'm going to be able to say, oh yeah, I used to listen to like the anarchist punk rock stuff. I've read anarchist philosophy. Are we allowed to talk about ideas still? In Donald Trump's America, if we don't have ideas on our television, we don't have ideas showing back up on our television, but we have prescriptions for people. That's not civil society, right? Let's see. T.S. Men says, democracy don't need any party. If democracy requires a party, then it's propaganda, and the society is fooling you and other people. Yeah, definitely. If you need partisan politics to tell you that like big oil and energy is going to be a huge risk into the future, or if you need a party to tell you that, like, look, it's okay to invest in local water companies, right? You should be concerned if people in Mexico or Canada have the right amount of water, just like you should be concerned if your people in your country have the right amount of water, right? And so that's very boring, I know, but that's a responsibility mindset too, is that, if your party, partisan politics are telling you you don't care about about the fact that there's someone on Wall Street getting a $3 billion payday this year, right? You don't need a law or a policy for that. You don't need street signs named after it. The event, right? The life event that made this guy a trillionaire, and it usually is guys still, right? There is still probably some patriarchal things going on the class of billionaires, I'm sure. Right? It's going to change everything. Guys, I've seen the others. I've been there. I have seen the others. I've seen the folks that, I've seen what happens, the different stages you pass through as you go from millionaire to billionaire, trillionaire. And let me tell you this, it makes it really hard when you got a Mahatma Gandhi, when you got a Martin Luther King Jr., and he's saying, I'm going to be different when I'm a billionaire or trillionaire. I'm going to be so different about this. It makes it really hard to back that. I'm not anti-money. I am a capitalist. You guys can see me in my suit if you guys don't believe it. You guys want to see the real duck. I'll do that sometime, but yeah, also, whatever. Cool. Yeah, so TS went from I don't know you. Do not know you, but you went from talking about democracy to talking about being God. And so that's outside of my purview. I'm vegan. I'm a vegan. Yeah, I celebrate my veganism. And yeah, I celebrate. It took me 4 or 5 years to get super comfortable with it. But I've lost 85 pounds. I feel stronger, healthier, happier. I look buff. So all that kind of stuff. Yeah, freedom, kind of. Yeah, Puro. I don't know where you're from, but in the U.S., Donald Trump took away some of the good government television. You had like PBS, public broadcasting, would just do very basic, nothing too ardent or nothing too religious. And so like PBS would tell you that you should see the Iraq-Afghanistan war, for example, huge war George Bush, Barack Obama participated in. So this does go up to all the way up to the White House. But you can watch PBS and see that, look, we are destroying, we are haphazardly, clumsily not removing a dictator from office. Right? This isn't some praxis or practical argument to get Saddam Hussein and the Saddam Ba'athist out, but we are destroying and clumsily destroying a society, and there's really no fruit to build upon based on the US's activities. And that's also the line, right? The line for PBS is like, you're not going to be out there celebrating when Americans are talking about, landmines or IEDs for troops. That's probably not going to be part of the discussion. But that's also an example of civil society. Civil society is one of the roles of media. Is that, yeah, it's violence, it's political violence to celebrate any sort of American or anyone getting killed. But who knows? No, I'm a fake Navy SEAL, right? Fake CIA, fake Navy SEAL, stolen valor stuff. No, I wasn't. I never served. My grandpa did. My grandpa did. Yeah, my grandpa served. Yeah. What did you make all the fatherless behavior women fatherless? So if you're talking about fatherless women, obviously don't have an opinion. I'm sorry, you're a person just like me, right? And so it's like, cool. I think in any case, our parents or lack of parents, what our parents explicitly didn't talk to us about when they were raising us, doing a great job with us and stuff like that. Our parents didn't tell us. Our parents don't tell us, keep life interesting, stay curious, stay passionate. Not all parents do that. And so I don't care if you're fatherless or not fatherless. I don't care the first or the second or the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth way you learn about the world, or, whatever you choose, whoever you are, right? So if there's, yeah, so shout out, I guess single moms, single dads, what up? Single moms and dads, shout out to you guys. Hey, the young guys are effed into the future. You need sleep. I hope you're well. Cool. Yeah, I don't like science experiments. I don't know what TDS is, but Mr. Palad, bro, that ain't the topic, bro. I'm curious about veganism. Please tell you the benefits. Yeah, heck yeah. Yeah, you guys can visit my creator shopping page. No, I don't sell stuff. Veganism is simple. You can look at the labels at the grocery store and find the same exact thing that doesn't have meat or meat products in it, and then learn how to eat more vegetables and whole foods like rice, etc. To alter your cells. Yeah, cellular health is huge. Obviously, vegans might say that. Yeah, if you can do intermittent fasting, you also have more fiber, so your body's absorbing food and energy at a more normal rate. And then you're also just cutting out some of the processed foods that, who knows, maybe over time they create more of a metabolic load on us. I don't know. There's probably actual science behind it, but cellular health does go along with hypertrophy, building muscle, weight loss, all these things. I do believe, getting plenty of sleep. And yeah, on internet time, for folks that are on internet time here, that one of the benefits or advantages is just going with your body's natural sort of, Hyperion loop or whatever it's called, just your wakeful rest hours and stuff like that. Yeah, and for people who aren't there, then cool. I personally think being a vegan is very feminine, a woman trait, quite frankly. I don't know. I disagree. Yeah, it's a big choice to make. It is a huge choice to make any life-changing decision. Who knows? Maybe you decide I'm going to read 15 minutes a day. If you're young and you've got the energy to read for 15 minutes a day, you can walk or bus or drive to the used bookstore. That's a huge deal, right? That's a huge deal. And so maybe it's the same thing that you're going to put something on the pots or pans or something like this. Hey, brother, do it. Clap. No, I don't know what that means. Veganism is known to lower testosterone. Yeah, who knows? I don't know. Our body uses all types of hormones, including estrogen, and including human growth hormone to pack on muscle, to repair soft tissues, and to build a stronger structure, right, from top to bottom. Some people know this, some people don't. Some people think they know this. I think I know it, but that don't need to be true. Hey, what's up, Nunny Buzz? Good to see you. We are totally different politically, but I like you. Cool. Yeah, we maybe have different ideas and stuff like this. But yeah, it doesn't matter. Any type of human with any energy surplus can go do 10 pull-ups into 10 push-ups, and then go run 100 meters, come back, do it again. right? So I don't think in terms of like having differentness about a diet actually impacts what you're able to do. I could be wrong about that. I mean, yeah, you guys can tell me how I'm wrong about that and stuff, but yeah, I've never had a problem. Anyone can go, you can choose to walk someplace instead of driving, instead of taking your car. You can choose to load up a backpack. You can buy foods that make you eat whole foods, right? These are like heuristic habit changes. You're not actually going to do any of them, but whatever. It's up to everyone. It's a little bit up to all of us. Um, let's see. So 53% of you guys so far have said that yes, Donald Trump or MAGA is going after civilization, and 47% of you guys say no, he's not. No, he's not. Yeah, I mean, you guys personally didn't vote. None of you guys actually voted to have Donald Trump steal $160 billion from the third world, right? None of you guys actually voted for Donald Trump to steal $160 billion from other people, right? So if you and other people did not vote on that, that's one example of Donald Trump going after civilization. Donald Trump and MAGA is going after civilization. This is also Western civilization. This is also Western values. In the West, we recognize individualism in other people, right? Even if you have an authoritarian government, even if you're living in an autocracy. So I hope that's obvious and clear to people. I didn't vote for any of it. I'd say it's more about activities than diet. I don't like politicians in general. I don't know about that. Yeah, I talked about that yesterday. You guys shouldn't even be looking at politicians, right? You guys should be looking at the media, right? This is what I told you guys yesterday. Don't even, and you guys can tell me don't say that, but yeah, just look at how people on social media lie to you. Look at how the top news stories of the day are all lying to you. All that stuff is a lot bigger. Que Honda's pinche McDonald's, it's a gangster. Hey, shout out. Yeah, shout out. Shout out $8. Yeah, yeah. Um, I will repost that actually. I'm gonna track down my blog spot. My blog spot actually. Here you guys go. This is the Gooner way of doing this. Here you guys go. Whoops. I gotta delete some of this stuff. I gotta delete some of this stuff. But there we go. I do not have to delete it all. And so I delete some of this stuff. And so I delete some of this stuff. But I do not have to delete it all. I follow people running for office and getting in. Our politicians are funded and controlled by APEC. Bruh. I mean, we just got to get Israel back in the Olympics. I don't know. Yeah, if Israel, they're able to start sending their actual athletes back to the Olympics, then yeah, I think we'll be in a much better spot. We'll be in a much better spot. That's the reality. Yeah, APAC is civil society though, right? There's Iranian lobbies, there's European lobbies, and if MAGA they ask you in the first place, they're like, hey, I voted Donald Trump, why is it now the case that we have Iranian talking to Washington? And the reality is because we haven't been at, Pete Hegseth today said in a Senate meeting, he said we're in a never-ending war. This guy's such a d-bag, right? This guy's such a douche. He's a douche. Yeah, he said if you want to talk about never-ending wars or forever wars, look at Iran. And yeah, Iran's defense spend's been 2% for the last 2 decades. And then you can also say, well, the reason we have an Iranian lobby is because we haven't been in a forever war with Iran. Donald Trump is lying to you. Whatever Ben Netanyahu, whatever Prime Minister Netanyahu wants out of it, one thing he may want is he may want people to ask or question why Pete Hegseth can say things like that in Washington. Isn't it just better to have, when somebody lies to you, isn't it better to have a conversation because they lied to you? I would think it's the case. I would think it's true. Trump is probably one of the most APEC funded presidents in terms of money sent via the pro-Israel lobby. Though, Israel is probably one of the most APEC funded presidents. Trump is. Maybe. I don't believe it's in Israel's interest to have a dumb American populace. You want a failing American democracy that has deep optionality to not support you, right? Fascist countries, fascist and authoritarian. When you see, and this isn't saying Donald Trump wants like black shirts, but he does fund federales, right? Donald Trump does fund federal police, right? He funds ICE as if they're this oppositional group like the federales fighting cartels in Mexico. And so, but when you get those authoritarian characteristics, you have no impartial public media, you have no PBS, you have no Fox News. Oh, dude, ducks, shut the fuck up. No, ducks, shut the fuck up. No, but the federales are like that sometimes, guys, Yeah, and even people with small PPs like Donald Trump gets away with bad things sometimes, right? Even people with really small dinguses, guys who, no offense, Donald Trump couldn't go out to like a dance night at the club. He couldn't pull like 2 and 3 chicks or 2 and 3 dudes. Donald Trump would be going to try to pick some people up at a rave, and you'd be like, hey, I'm the Don, and people would be like, okay, cool. Yeah, it's really great to meet you. Do you want to dance? Do you want to dance? That would be the end of it. So, I don't know. What was the meds? What was I supposed to take today, Lean? What was I supposed to take? There you go, brother. There you go, brother, man. Do I eat Arby's? I used to love Arby's, bro. I used to love Arby's. My Catholic school, I went to a Catholic school, so we had a cafeteria and a kitchen. But on it was every week or every other week they would bring in outside food, and you could buy outside food at lunch. And yeah, they would bring in these big trays of Arby's. But yeah, my lunch budget wasn't enough for it. So I would I'd grift off my friend to buy it because I was wrestling at the time, so I was always hungry, right? I was in school, I was practicing wrestling 2 hours a day after school every day, so I was very active. And yeah, so I'd have to ask my friend for more money to buy Arby's. But I still buy their curly fries. I know that's not very vegan. I'll buy frozen curly fries, which is kind of bunk. I'm still supporting factory farming indirectly by supporting Arby's. So that's not the best, but I do love Arby's. Really actual true vegans will say, you shouldn't, exploitation means that ethical veganism is not even buying from those companies that are, truthfully what they go do is it's very violent stuff. It's really violent stuff. I didn't even see social media jokes, Bretta. I didn't even see it. I thought the Meat Mountain and Chitlin burgers were real and shit. Yeah, no. Who knows? The Anna, the mod here, she was talking about warehouse fires. So to me, like, warehouse fires is like, yeah, bro, are we burning it down now? Can you imagine the first time you're in New England and you got to drive like 500 miles and they're like, hey, eat this, right? I know you eat whole potatoes and this BS, but eat this that you're just going to fucking crash through, right? This is going to like burn through your stomach, bro. Yeah. Y'all ever wonder why the white folks in the Jim Crow era so mad? Y'all ever know why the white folks so angry? Why them British colonialists so mad? They got the funny hats, funny uniforms. Why they so mad? Yeah. Well, they found a way. They found a way to package and computerize their hatred for the world. All your violence coming in these little single serve ketchup packets. All the energy and fuel in the world to do that. Congratulations. We got GB228X. Let's go. Spin it down, brothers. Let's go. Don't be fooled by this man. He sells vacuum parts and commits tax fraud. Hey, ice cold drink. That's pretty good. My coffee maker broke today. Yeah, if anybody wants to buy me a Goodwill coffee maker, send a yellow super chat. I'll just do the very old school social media grift. Don't you think about the days when I think I just drop it like that. When the pimp's in the crib, mom, drop it like it's hot. Hey, what's up? What's up, Spooky Lynn? Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I want to communicate with you guys. I'm sorry, I'm not very good at teamwork stuff, right? And being on a team means we have all the same values. I know Donald and I disagree on politics. Some of you guys might disagree on the vegan stuff. Some of you guys might disagree on a lot of stuff. But when we're talking about teamwork, right? I'm not trying to tell you guys what to believe. If I can relay some of the stuff I know, so boring, guys. That's not social media, right? I have ChatGPT to relay stuff that it knows. But whatever, I'm not going to change who I am. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I don't know how I could commit tax fraud with zero income, right? There's 0% chance I'm going to hit the taxable rate of income this year. At the rate I'm going at, I would need like 5 years to hit that. It's really bad. Hey, what's up, Still Me? Good to see you, homie. Good to see you. Yeah, me and Still Me are both huge comedy fans. We're huge YouTubers. So it's good to see you. Okay, I'll try not to sing. We are a team. I'm far right, not some idiot Trump supporter. Yeah, well, being far right, basically means that Trump is acceptable to you. So we disagree about that. If you're going to interpret news stories as, yeah, this doesn't need more context. The guys, you have people blasting Aerosmith and SUVs and all this other BS. I'm not, but then I'm in opposition to you, and I don't want to do that either, right? I don't want to be in opposition to a person. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be doing that. Yeah, ethical veganism is supposed to be about exploitation. So when you're saying that you're using another being for selfish or egotistical reasons, right? I wanted a hamburger, so I ate a hamburger, right? Ethical veganism would say, well, it's not the fact that you're a carnivore, and even if I morally judge hunting or eating a hamburger the same way, it seems a little different for someone saying, well, I've had this. It seems like a different circumstance for someone to say, I've had this freezer in my garage, and boy, my boy loves elk meat. My son loves eating elk meat, and so you're not going to argue, but if we get past it and discuss it, I'll tell you all about my hunting habits or something. That's different than me self-examining myself, right? Socrates said an unexamined life is not worth living. And so I examine myself and say, well, yeah, I drink beer and eat hamburgers because I want, or I play video games too often, right? I play video games until 2 a.m., even when I have a job. And I do this too often because I just wanted to, right? It was what I wanted to do. And hey, in this case, it's exploitation, right? It's less about, it's just about, there's an animal someplace that I'm eating actually. So ethical veganism usually is about this exploitation factor, and it goes back to philosophy. Maybe it goes backwards and runs through philosophy, and then that should ideally, right? Because we're humans, right? We're very smart. You guys are all like mega geniuses. I'm here gooning, so I'm a gooner. I'm a crazy person. I stopped reading like 3 years ago. I read a bunch of shit before that, like a lot of stuff. I'll show you guys how good I am. I've got that big pile of books. that wasn't even half of it, right? That wasn't even half of it. I got a bigger pile of books that I read and done walked through and shit. But yeah, so that's ethical veganism, is do philosophy, not diet advice. I can agree on that, but not like him. Wendy's chili. I've never been a big Wendy's chili fan. I'm a red-blooded American, and so as much as I enjoyed seeing the spirit of American values and capitalism putting potatoes and chili on a drive-through menu, right? You could drive your car through Wendy's and get a chili and a potato. I always thought that was quite strange. I thought if you go to Wendy's, you should get double cheeseburgers with the little ring onions cut how they do them. And then you should have a Frosty and some French fries, just like they suggested you do. So that's how I used to eat my fast food, was for sure big old bag of Wendy's. Hell yeah, brother. All right, guys, as long as you guys are bending the knee to me. Hey, what's up, Fawn Robbins? Tell me about my cycle. My cycle generates around innovating, creating content at the very top of the social media universe, and then going through strong bouts of absurdist depression and anxiety, right? So that's about it. Yeah. And so we are all working on cyclical economies and the whatnot, of course. Yep. Don't you think about the days. Hey, we got What Up Oman. Or we got Watwupa Oman. Sorry, I'm messing up your username. I'm sorry. Hey, thanks, Fawn Robbins. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Pretty bad. How long have you been homeless? Well, I'm currently in a home, so yeah, so I'm very grateful for the things I have. In terms of the future, I have no certainty. Yeah, in terms of the future and the past, yeah, I think, who knows? I think what people miss is that when you don't treat people like they're humans and you don't treat people like they have the same values as you, it's easy to make judgments. I know that's not that exciting of a conversation, but it is actually, right? It is, because it's like, oh shit, if there's 9 billion people on Earth, and if 4 or 5 billion people work in office jobs like I do, like I did or whatever, then that means there's another 4 or 5 billion people that didn't do that. So I'd rather talk to those people like they're not homeless, right? Why would I bring that up, Yeah. That's also politics, right? You should also be able to say these are political issues and stuff like that too. Yeah. Yeah, whatever. You're whatever. Yeah, cool. Kids, that's what happens when you're crazy and refuse to take. Aw, dude, come on, brother. That actually hurts my feelings, man. That actually hurts. Hurts to hear it, but okay. I can hear it. I can hear it now. I'll be honest, I worked in a call center for 3 years once, and it made me hate people until I left the job. I heard so many voices. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a great way to do it, right? When I was at a call center, I would take about 700 calls a week. It wasn't that busy. There's busier call centers, but yeah, busy weeks, I would take about 700 calls. Not busy weeks, it would be about 400. Yeah, onward and upward with Harry Potter books, I guess. Onward and upward. Finding more efficient ways to read Harry Potter. There's a new Harry Potter movie that's going to come out in December, I think. So, good on them for the Harry Potter stuff. Do 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 do. What's your guys' favorite virtue signal? If I were to drop veganism, let's pretend I just act. I'll wear my leather jacket I showed you guys yesterday. I'll wear the leather jacket I showed you guys yesterday, and start pretending not to be vegan. And then, so what's the next virtue grift? That sounds like it would be very time consuming. Very time consuming. Um, uh, no, I mean, I read some of the profile pieces. Ted Kaczynski was on the cover of like Time magazine and other magazines and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, he died of cancer in jail, so I followed that. There was a Netflix show I think I watched like it was like a mini series, so there were like 5 episodes or 3 episodes. I think I watched like half of it. It wasn't that interesting anymore. Um, but yeah, I know the gist. Ted Kaczynski talked about technology and how it ruins connections between people. So it's a very crazy idea, right? It's a very crazy idea. It's misplaced, right? And so in some sense, it's totally wrong, right? Oh man. And this is why I do have deep empathy for people that apparently, you could say they're radicalized or extremists, but that's also a form of mental illness, right? It's like, you got upset that mom and dad taught you the wrong thing, or your brain assembled the wrong thing. And so in some sense, yeah, you are a very dangerous person. You probably shouldn't have like an X-Acto knife in prison or anything like this. But yeah, you also can read, cook yourself food. But you're not allowed to just become, right? You're not allowed to become just a violent person because you put the ideas together wrong. So I don't see technology as a bad thing. I think if humans utilize the Earth's resources, there's a less and or non-exploitative way to do it, right? So can you justify violence ever? Probably not really. Probably not really. But who knows? Who knows? Hey George, yeah, I'm wishing you to be able to take some like small walks and stuff. Small walks. Yeah, I don't know if I have a better solution or something. Sorry. Bro, this world is having competition, especially in my country, and I don't know how I can survive this. Hey, I'm sorry, Yash Tomar. Um, yeah, competition is the breadwinner for violence. Competition is the ultimate breadwinner for violence. We compete with each other, so we have who eats the most food. We compete with each other. We have who has the best idea. I'm guilty of that for sure. We compete with each other for all this stuff. And then, yeah, it just keeps going and 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 going. We compete with each other for who had something to say. And then we keep going and going and going and going and going. Yeah. People say, yeah. Yeah, and evidence is like Charlie Kirk competition. Charlie Kirk, what he said was, I'm going to compete for America, to make America great again. I'm going to compete for a Christian nation. I'm going to use competition to make our nation Christian again. 45% of Americans claim to be Christian. That's disgusting. That is so nasty. What a nasty statistic. No offense. 45% of Americans follow organized religion that makes them say yes on a survey. That's disgusting. That's extremism, right? A random person asks you your religious beliefs and you tell them 45% of Americans are Christian extremists. And so Charlie Kirk says he's going to compete and keep going and going and going, and then he's going to adopt and endorse violence for other people because of this. He's going to say Donald Trump should be blowing up boats in Iran. Donald Trump should be killing random 18 and 19-year-olds around the world who signed up just like everyone else because their mom and dad told them they should. And so, these are people who by no means earned a Darwin Award Prize. These are this, and I have empathy for U.S. drone strikes. I have a lot of compassion for like the raid on Osama bin Laden's compound that Obama did. But bin Laden, in some sense, won a Darwin Award. In some sense, I'm not saying he should have been killed, but the Darwin Award that he earned, instead of being locked up and turned, kind of forced or asked just asked in a court of law to recount the crime he committed. But Bin Laden earned a Darwin Award because he said the much bigger U.S. government is the bad guy. The much bigger United States is the bad guy. And I can use violence to work my way into it. And so some people say that violence is like anything else. Small can move big. Violence is like anything else. An idea can move others. No, it isn't. No, it really is not, right? Because you're going to run into someone that is just ultimately, at the end of the day, just as smart as you are. They're just as informed and smart as you are. They're just as unwilling in reality to actually use violence, and you're going to lose. And so Charlie Kirk said that, no, I can just go on social media, talk to 100 million people. I can talk to 100 million people, and my thing is that, yeah, as long as Pete Hegseth is there, as long as we got prayer breakfasts, as long as people are reading their Bible, as long as the violence is about God, as long as the violence is about Jesus, the violence is about Mary, the violence is about Joseph, the violence is about not being Islamic, the violence is about being fearful and hateful, I'll get away with it. Hey, what's up, the freak? Good to see you. Winning does never get old. Share because as a team, we are still more useful and important. Yeah, the sharing economy is a huge idea. People have said this depends on our psychology being more empathetic or more empathetic. Empathy is the term that the West uses. It implies almost a small sense of praxis. And so who knows? There is a fight. There is perhaps a fight saying, well, if I'm actually empathetic toward nature, actually empathetic toward our robot overlords and tech oligarchs, I'm actually empathetic toward politicians, I'm actually empathetic toward the news media outlets, I'm actually empathetic, and despite my criticisms of Turning Point or MAGA Republicanism, I'm willing to give anyone a shot, willing to have a conversation with anyone. Despite all this, I will still lead with empathy and whatnot. That seems to make sense, right? I'll go do the same exact thing, they say. Yeah. Cool. Heck yeah. Street Corner. Yeah, Duck's Street Corner channel. No. Keep preaching, brother. Yeah. I'm very empathetic toward big systems of capital, big systems of capitalism that do not let other societies figure it out, right? The excuse the United States has used, is saying, well, poor countries can't be democratic, right? When we see things our Americanized don't understand, we have to elect. I have to vote for Donald Trump. I have to vote Republican. I have to vote nationalist. Even if I don't admit it, the Democrats I vote for are still nationalist, right? I'm a progressive Democrat, so I support a party that's 60% made up of violent nationalists in the United States. Boy, that's really wild, right? That's really wild. Research centered around places like Saudi Arabia and other countries showed that per capita GDP is a huge indicator of democracy consolidating. And so underneath this, you can say, well, once it doesn't take that much, but once you have, $2,500 a year or whatever it is, you can make a democracy. So Donald Trump is talking about Iran becoming a democracy when their tax hikes increase at about $1,000 per person a year. So you can wonder, well, you're so weak, you've been sanctioned so much, you don't have enough money to really fund a robust democracy, unless there's some new equation for it. But yeah, this is a conservative way to say it. But Donald Trump is telling you, so mathematically, it's basically impossible. You're going to form a democracy. There's going to be too much polarization, too many factions, too much all of this other stuff, right? Same with Iraq, same with Afghanistan, same with all these places. And so absolutely, we support liberal democracy. Absolutely, we support democratic values. Absolutely, we support recognizing democracies in the international system. But at the same time, if you have leaders in Washington who do not understand the beginning and end of their own argument, you're lying to people. So Charlie Kirk wanted Christian democracies in places where 95% of your time is spent wondering how you can provide for your family, right? 90 that's the political story we would tell ourselves in the United States. Not that you're too dumb or too busy for it, but it's just the interest of a voting booth, the interest of a voting booth, the strong interest in having balanced security regimes, security forces, having transparency layers, having accountability in the system of government, having equal applications of the laws, preventing both corruption as well as preventing rollbacks on freedoms, rollbacks on economic rights, rollbacks on selectively picking winners and losers, right? These are things that happen when you're below this line for a consolidated democracy. And these are things that keep happening. In the United States, we still talk about things that are similar like this. We still talk about Donald Trump's corrupt relationship with Howard Lutkin, or these other crypto influencers and things like this. So Donald Trump wants it both ways. You have to be a Christian democracy so you won't fight the United States somehow. This is actually what Donald Trump's asking for. No, Donald Trump's attempting to overthrow a civilization. What kind of Jesus? What kind of Jesus? I remember we kissed at the gay bar last year. Hey, shout out. Somebody's in NatSec. I'm just kidding. I'm joking about the gooner stuff. Yeah, I'm not actually a gooner. I'm a cool guy, not a gooner. Hey, see you, still me. Good to see you. Shout out. Yeah, the freak is leading this exercise. I'm from Arizona. I'm in the Southwest US. Yeah. I currently live with my Uncle Tio and my Aunt Tia here. My Uncle Tio, he's a pinche loco, man. Yeah. Uncle Tio tells me all the time to eat Bud Light and chew tecate. He says, hey, we're not getting drunk. We're having breakfast. And Tia says, hey, do not teach hijo this. Uncle Tio, you know what you sound of. You guys happy with Trump? I'm personally very unhappy with Donald Trump. We're talking a little bit about civil society, about both wealth and poverty, how people interact in a society, how norms or political processes are, you actuate voting, you actuate votes in the Senate, you actuate types of discussions in Congress, you actuate changes in how partisan politics represent themselves, you actuate focus areas on different political issues, you're able to actuate all types of stuff. Hey, what up? What up? Oops. So we actuate all types of things in this society. Hey, Anna, good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah. 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 Ooh-woo. We're going to ooh-woo until we're back in a science-based society. Until everyone makes $3,000 a year and you can just go vote once every 2 years. So you make 3,000 US dollars a year in the US too, and everyone can go vote. Poverty doesn't collapse democracy, guys. You're going to disagree. You're going to say Donald Trump needs you to make $100,000 to make America great again. And boy, you may want that $100,000. Sure seems like it. These selfless forms of democratic participation, selfless forms of patriotism. Sure seems like it's a roundabout way of making a ton of money. Sure seems like a roundabout way to say that my money is different than your money, but whatever. Whoops, what happened? Actuate fact checking on stuff Democrats only like. Oh, Stony, Dusty's gonna kill the vibe, bro. Kill the vibe, though. Kill the vibe, yeah. I mean, what do you like, though? What do you actually want to go do? People, you want to MAGA Republicans, right? Republicans want to talk about buying military stuff. Are you putting on the helmet? You're putting on the helmet. You want someone to think about you in terms of tossing you over the wall, right? Here you go. That's not your helicopter. That's my helicopter, right? The SATCOM device, the person on the other side, he's not yours. He's mine as well. It turns out, are you hungry? You wanted some cigarettes? Well, that was my food. That's also my cigarettes. What do you do? Well, you're also mine, right? A very thin portion of your form is what I own, and then whatever comes from it is also what I own, right? So that was your tank. That was your tank. That was your armored, your APC. No, it wasn't. That's also mine. You wanted us to go soften it up. You guys wanted us to build a little beachhead here for you. Well, okay, maybe we'll go do that. You want to become the person who's the most devout, John the Revelator, Bible reading, whatever it is. Okay, maybe I don't know the best version of that for you personally, but I'll figure it out. I'll do my best and you'll find yourself in there somehow. So which conversation is it? Or you're not personally, right? You're not personally walking by people with mental illness who are homeless on the street in the US. You're not seeing the satellite photos of the damage to cities and towns after genocides places, after rebels come through or something, anti-government forces. You're not actually walking by and looking at the leaves on crop fields, right? You're not looking at during famines, you're not looking at the crop health or yield. That's boring. That's not exciting, right? That's not American. It is for somebody. It is for somebody. And so you guys sure, you accuse me of stomping out MAGA talking points. Bring it up. Let's talk about it. Guess where it's going to end at the end of the day? At the end of the day, stuff that doesn't work ends with stuff that's real and does work, And so I hate to break it to you. I'd rather talk about civil society or NGOs, charity work. But if you guys want to talk about the military, patriotism, this kind of bullshit or whatever, my own opinions on it, I'm not an authority or expert. But if you're not the person seeing that other stuff, why not that? Why not that? Why not saying, okay, cool, you now live in the 400 square foot apartment in a soup kitchen. That's awesome. Congratulations. And then when you're done with that, I'm going to toss your ass over the wall in Iran, just you and your lonesome, and I'm going to see how well you do against these IRGC guys, right? You must think they're effeminate or they're not like you or something like this, because the way you talk, it sure sounds like that's what you think about people, So some of these boys, they said they wanted to fight, and you said you wanted to fight, and so why not the two of you guys go load it up, right? I'll throw your ass over the wall. Guess what? I have no problems about it. I don't have to think about the rest of my shit. I only have to think about you. And once the deed is done, once we do Operation Dumbo Drop in Tehran, right? We got 100 high quality trained U.S. Marines, Navy seamen. We got 100 Air Force cadets. We got 100 Army recruits. We got the E4s, E5s, right? We got 100 of you fuckers with the correct command structures and the whatnot. And you and your lonesomes can go battle it out with the guys in Iran who said they wanted as much as the same. I don't give a shit. Same thing to me, right? Do you know what I care about? I care about when the bombs start falling. Yeah. So you guys say I want to stomp out talking points. Why don't you guys go live your fantasy? Go work in the soup kitchen and then go volunteer to climb a mountain with a fucking AK or whatever stupid shit you want to do. You guys wanted to be war fighters. Okay, what's a war fighter? How do I become a war fighter? Dumb, dude. It don't make no sense. Jeez, dude. I am lagging like a mofo, bro. Sounds like you're living a fantasy either for all of us. Hey, I don't care at that point. Yeah, it doesn't involve me, right? It involves the thing you said you wanted to do and the thing that I'm okay with, right? Oh, hey, Uncle Sam, he's got these deep affections for all of us. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. You know how many of you guys died in the Civil War? You know how many of us died in the Civil War? It was a lot, right? Do you know how awful it was? It was quite a bit, right? You get these guys would, you guys are hungry, but you catch a musket ball. Hey, you're not getting a hamburger, right? You're not getting a hamburger, and then, you got the IV drip line, right? They're just gonna go chop the thing off. Hey, welcome to America. There you go. There's patriotism, right? God in country, good Gershon man, right? Yeah. You guys gotta You guys got bulletproof vests and all this stuff. Yeah, well, I do, right? Never said I have to I never said I have to go give them to everybody, right? I'll tell the other, you want 1,000 MAGA guys to go live their fantasy. You guys enlisted in the military. God told you to, right? Pick 1,000 of them out. I'll tell the other 299,900 that, hey, these guys said they wanted to go go on an adventure and they wanted to live and die and pray for God and country. Well, they're getting their chance, guys, and so you guys can be a little grateful for the stuff we got, but we're gonna load up the helmet cam for these fellers, and they said they want to go to war, and so we're gonna give them a war, right? 100, 1,000 of them. You guys don't reckon. I recall, yeah, if you guys got the, who knows, maybe you do. Maybe you guys do have your own little Batman utility belt at home and all the stuff you need. And so maybe Uncle Sam would even say, yeah, put it in a suitcase, right? Put it in a suitcase. And it's not mine, so that's on you too, but go have some fun, go have at it. Yeah, if you guys have a helicopter at your house, you guys have you guys installed some of those run flat tires on your Suburban. Oh, shout out. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate you, dude. Yeah, you guys installed run flat tires on your Suburban, or you guys have satellites in space from your house. Put it in the suitcase. Put that stuff in the suitcase. And I'm going to show 300,000 of the boys what that fighting spirit, that war fighter patriotic spirit can do. Cool. That's your geopolitical strategy, right? You're qualified to talk about geopolitical strategy. So go do your geopolitical strategy while I do my geopolitical strategy. Hey, see ya. See ya, Stony, not Dusty. We'll talk to you later. Andy, thanks so much for the teal super chat. Big $5 coming in. With a duck. Yeah, we are all ducks, dodos, parrots, whatever it is here. That's the Ducks Y brand, guys. If you're not a bird, you guys, I appreciate you being here for the birdliness, the bird up. And yeah, I'll go read some chats and do some shout outs, say what's up to some people too. All the enemies are holding private islands, golfing on private islands. Hey, it ain't that luxurious. Uncle Sam, Lady Liberty, and Daddy Donnie. Yeah, man, if you're gonna take everybody down like that, yeah. Uncle Sam usually has held it down, right? We can look at extreme violence Uncle Sam's committed. Uncle Sam, Lady Liberty, they themselves and they, they didn't do a great job. They ultimately got Nixon, right? But they didn't get Henry Kissinger. And boy, yeah, those guys would draw a circle on the map, right? You keep going back, guys, right? When you haven't really found the right answers, yeah, this is something to keep in mind. Draw a circle on the map and figure out where you want to go next. That don't sound like justice to me. That sounds like violence to me. But, when we haven't figured out where Charlie Kirk's Christian America can plant the next flag, draw the circle on the map. You guys can draw a circle on the map and then go figure it out, right? Again, you yourself and you. I have my own opinions and ideas about these types of topics. I think it's pretty painful, whatever. It's something that a person could go do into the future and in the present. But yeah, draw that circle on the map. Go find yourself, right? Go find yourself. Go find the true version of the Christian God in the places that you have demarcated as separate. It takes a while to learn how to discern. Be discerning. You need to put the phone down and go for a nature walk. Those antidepressants got you messed up. Hey, we standing up here, right? I got everything here. We don't have the microphone plugged in, but I got my mic. I got electronic devices. I got my PC and all this stuff up. So I'm okay. Thank you. Let's see. Here we go. All right. Hey, Duck. Hey, Danny Keith. Good to see you. What's up? Yeah. 13 colonies slapped out of the strongest known power in the world. The biggest complaint about the president is gas prices. I think he's doing fine. Cool. Yeah, I mean, that's a personal opinion. That doesn't necessarily tell me as well either, Miss Me Aura. That doesn't necessarily tell me where in the world that opinion actually comes from or works. Right? So saying that the news is telling me Donald Trump's doing fine, stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. It almost seems like it is like, paid actors or something, this type of comment, because you can ask, well, okay, so we know poverty isn't something that collapses democracies, but we do know violence is, right? We do know fear of geopolitical threats is. We do know that things like famine or corruption, these are things that collapse a democracy. And so when we ask how Donald Trump is being a moral leader, as well as increasing trust or something like that, gas prices is one way he's broken trust, but there's many more ways that he's broken trust. Yeah. Yeah, he's got 4 or 5, you can count the number of wars that he's actually dealing with when he's played into the shift in military spends. And yeah, maybe there's some excuse that he's playing the long game, but so was Adolf Hitler, right? At the end of the day, Adolf Hitler was also playing the long game of nationalist politics. Adolf Hitler was also a neoconservative of German values, right? He was saying, well, German values will have to be conserved in an autocratic regime, right? An autocratic regime will shepherd these in. And so for Donald Trump, his authoritarianism, Donald Trump's sense of authoritarianism, where people like Kash Patel or Kristi Noem can echo his neoconservative values, these are people that can also look onto these tariffs and they will share no different opinion of them, right? So this is not a democracy, and I would encourage you to think a little harder about that. I would deeply encourage you to think a little harder about that. Yeah. End user, bottom line, consumers pay tariffs, and that's 8th grade civics lesson. Trump started at least one war himself. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and he's asking to get paid for it. This is what Donald Trump does, is he acts and then asks to get paid. So it's, to him, it's like a sophomoric version of a total war, if you want to look really deeply into it. Sun Tzu wrote about total wars. You have like this idea of blitzkrieg, you have realpolitik. And so in realpolitik, with normal people, you would say, well, because the foundations of society and civilization is so strong, that you would prefer, the optimal solution is when there's injustice. If there's injustice and something that produces lack of trust and an actual threat, those are things that you should pick up, and you should allow those things to define the society, versus the opposite case, what Donald Trump said, and what he's lied to you about this, guys. Let me be honest, he's lied to you about all this stuff. Donald Trump's promised us that when there's injustice, you have to punch it down. You have to make it be MAGA. You have to make it be a neoconservative MAGA Republican, make it American, right? So Donald Trump says, yeah, Iran and Palestine, you got to make it American because you guys will see it's different then, right? It's not the fact that this is just, it's like asking the guy Mike Tyson is beating up, or an abusive husband is beating up, to see that if you were more like them, then that would fix the problem. It is exactly like that, right? It is exactly like, you get your resume rejected from work or something like this. HR recruiter doesn't give you a second phone call. They don't give you a second chance. You get yelled at for being late to your shift. It's like saying, well, if you were closer to that person, right, it wouldn't have happened. It makes absolutely zero sense. And so it is a little bit like, like I would say it's like a little bit like a Gluck Gluck or something on OF or Fansly. Because if you're Donald Trump, you can say, well, there's enough people fixing my stuff that none of the actual relationships in the world matter. Literally none of the relationships, for the Gooners here, shout out. For the Gooners here, yeah, none of the actual relationships matter. None of them actually mattered. They've never mattered, right? And so you have hundreds or thousands or dozens of people just in the last dozens of powerful people just in the last couple months. But anyways, yeah, you have thousands of people supporting this MAGA message, and yeah, it's really bad. It's really bad. I'm not from America, but what is MAGA? It stands for Make America Great Again. It stands for Make America Great Again. It's very stupid. Duck is pretty solid about using property labels. Hey, is a conflation. Yeah, I mean, 45%, we talked about this a little earlier ago. So 45% of young American men are now willing, when someone asks what their religion is, they feel compelled to actually answer and tell them it's Christianity. So that's probably organized religion, organized Christianity. And so I don't think it's, they're obviously two different groups, people, right? If you're going to empirically say who is in MAGA and who is a Christian, but those are both organized forms of religion or organized forms of political and social beliefs. So yeah, I absolutely agree. However, there are norms, there's norms, and there's other, you're going to hear the same talking points, right? The same types of policy prescriptions, I think. So, I think if Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans can't contextualize how they've used Christianity to usurp power, used Christianity to take advantage of the civil society and the democratic system, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it then. You can't be anti-Christian nationalism, then be pro-Iran. I mean, I'm way lazier than you think to freak. I'm super lazy. I think we can see that like Iran has corruption in their government. They also fight corruption in their government. Iran spends on militaries, but they also you obviously buy stuff that works. They also buy stuff that very scarily works, but politically it works in an economic sense. So if Iranian policy is around Iranian economics, and Iran is still also scary, then if Donald Trump and Marco Rubio can't handle more of that conversation, it is anti-Iran. It is oppositional to Iran to say we want to talk about how scary you are and we want to talk about your scary economics, right? And already saying that this is how a someone with a damaged brain like Marco Rubio, who has no decision-making power, but you put him out there like a clown and you say, yeah, sorry guys, this is the clown that we can afford. This is the clown we can send, right? We're going to send Marco Rubio, and he says, yeah, scary, 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 scary bad, and there's nothing else behind it. That's already more productive than what Donald Trump said. Donald Trump's lied about, because then you get lies. Donald Trump's lied about, you have no trust. This is what Iran, and it seems Europe has signaled this. Saudi Arabia has signaled this. Geopolitics, when Saudi Arabia says, well, our economic interests and the trustworthiness, perhaps the physical safety of oil is, and Middle Eastern economies and global economies is what we care about, because we have partners in China, we have partners everywhere that isn't China as well, the entire world. So this is also saying, well, we're worried about American trustworthiness. In reality, so one of America's closest allies in the region, we buy shit for them. They let us do a bunch of stuff there. We both make money the same exact way. And so, yeah, when you look what the greed does, it does build this relationship, but then you also break that, right? You have to break through that to see that Iran signaled that a violent plan from the West during times of increased global tensions is not American. It's un-American. Bro, I need your help. How can I defeat my wife's boyfriend and get my PS5 back? Oh, man. I'm sorry, Ranger. I'm sorry, Ranger. I would recommend exploring mobile games. Yeah, if you have a cell phone. If you have a cell phone, you're gaming in the world, right? You're gaming in the world. I'd also recommend turning your smartphone into a library. You can go to Wikipedia or Google some articles. Yeah, hang out on YouTube if something new comes into your algorithm. And then so tune up your algorithm, change your algorithm, change 5 or 10 minutes of your life each day by deleting some recommended topics, adding something new, and turn your phone into a library. If you're on a, however, yeah, if you're not sending a carrier pigeon to talk to me, Red Ranger, that's what I would recommend. Yeah, breakfast tacos did get demonetized. Yeah, I mean, I'm still obviously gonna support. Oh, whoa. Hey, we got Hizzle in the house. Thanks so much. Huge $5, bro. I appreciate it, man. That helps a bunch. And it's yeah, thank you so much too, right? It helps a bunch, dude. But no, good to see you, brother. I'll talk to you soon. Yeah, I obviously still want to support the growth of Taco's channel. You know, Taco's been spending basically 24 hours a day fixing some of the stuff that YouTube recommended to him. And so, yeah, my friend, he's telling, I'll just tell you guys a YouTube drama real quick. But yeah, my friend, he's got over 5,000 subs. He's been doing YouTube for a while. He's hosted multiple people with over 500,000 subs. So he's got a really good channel. It's his primary source of income. And yeah, and YouTube told him that he can't make money here anymore, because they said he's just like posting AI videos. So we'll see. We will see. Yeah, so I hope that I try to be Nathan and Duck with you guys. Even when I'm in chat, I try to be my authentic self with my PFP and username. I think Tacos has done that. So I still want to support the rapid growth of Taco's channel. He should be 10 times more successful than I can ever be, because of his system for business system, for the people he invites up, his appreciation, his love for his audience, his love for the topics and stuff. So yeah, so this is the YouTube drama. His guy's income, unfortunately, is subject to demonetization. And yeah, so I'm obviously still going to be supporting Breakfast Tacos and his show. And who knows, maybe I'll be back. Maybe I'll be back a little more often when he starts doing lives and stuff like that again. If he does more Discord streams, whatever it ends up being. So I think Shahir, you're a big part of Taco's channel. Your dancing inspired me to dance here. Heck yeah, dance there. Heck yeah, guys. Yeah. I like DeFreak a lot. Yeah, DeFreak, my favorite place to see DeFreak is in Breakfast Tacos. It's when I bump into him at Jack Talcott's. Yeah, finding inspiration, finding a reason to study love, finding a reason to study, I'm an atheist, but if you can find a time or a place to praise God, find a time or a place to explore your own spirituality, that's really healthy too. Some people might say you don't need to do that, but yeah, you have a spiritual belief in any number of beings. It can be any color, any shape, make, size, whatever, so those are all good things. Hey, what's up, Stupid Tomato? I've started arranging group activities for the, hey, thank you, Stupid Tomato. That's a very nice idea. Yeah, gooning for Catholic dignity, gooning for justice. That makes a lot of sense. What would you do if I sang out of tune? I would stand up and walk out on me. Whoops. Man, my YouTube's crashing out, bro. What is your opinion on the Illuminati? Yeah, I really don't have a strong opinion on the Illuminati. Yeah, that's what I was talking. I was talking the same thing, Anna. Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion on the Illuminati or the whatnot. I think people can make their own moral choices. I don't believe morality is social or political. I don't believe it ever is, right? This is, to me, it's fact-based, right? So the Illuminati wants to control fiat currency and the Rothschild billionaires and these big money classes, right? You got the deep state operating within the real deep state, right? So you got the deep state and then a secret state or something. But if I can't ask you, but you still can't answer, right? So the question I would ask them is, you still can't tell me why you're not allowed to have free journalism in Saudi Arabia or something, right? That's a basic question, so you voted for people. People can go vote in Saudi Arabia. People can vote their interests, right? You have Sharia law, and it's real Sharia law, right? It's a real Islamic society, whatever that means. But you also have a lot of things that are somewhat westernized or have aspects, right? Despite very strict, whatever it's like, whatever. It's depending on who you talk to and what they want you to know about reality, what it's actually, what it actually is or becomes or is like. But yeah, the Illuminati, if you can't respond to facts, you can't respond to anything, bro. Hey, David. Yeah, I don't know what Florida has to do with it. You know, uh, from my awareness, Miami, and it's not necessarily just Miami, but big cities. Big cities typically develop the counterculture and subculture earlier. So my suggestion would be that, yeah, maybe plumbers aren't aware of the gay society within a society, right? But there may be people would be aware that, yeah, civil rights movements didn't just produce bars and speakeasies. Civil society produced rich integration, understanding, tolerance. It produced things that are just more efficient at the end of the day. They're mechanically more efficient than the other systems. So I would hope that you're okay being a gay plumber in Florida. And yeah, I would hope that any big city would be deeply accommodating. I would also hope that, yeah, in smaller rural areas, you see that there's still some of these same traits that the internet and other social levers have made just more commonplace, right? You should still be able to have both friendship as well as companionship based on, your worldview and experience. Hey, Nanology, great to see you, buddy. Great to see you, buddy. Cool. Yeah, Florida. Yeah, it's interesting. You do have, I believe there's, yeah, Florida. When you say that, Florida has no state income tax. The state income tax is zero. And so who knows, conflation of political and social issues. Some people might say, well, this is our real advantage. This is what attracts outside investors. This is what attracts people to come move here, retire, stay here, spend their money here, spend their retirement savings, spend their social security checks here, buy properties, rent properties, put money back into our economy. And so, yeah, I would say as a conservative or a progressive Democrat as I am, you could still talk about big issues like circular economies. Shouldn't you see around the country that people are investing in sustainability if you hold one of the biggest environmental risks in the country? It would make a lot of sense that these are national and local political issues for you. And so when I would my campaign plea to Florida to go purple or to be more considerate, to rethink what conservative values have to mean is, yeah, you probably can keep your zero state income tax. A lot of people would probably love you for it. And it wouldn't just be the ultra wealthy. There would be a lot of people that might enjoy that. That doesn't mean that your voice stops at that issue. Your voice doesn't stop at national security spending, right? It has been a long time. It has never been the case that, like, Fidel Castro sent a boat of Cuban Marines, a boat of Cuban Navy SEALs to go invade Cuba, right? And so, referencing, Miami-Dade County and old Pablo Escobar movies, and that's why we have our politics. That's way smaller than just what you see at the bodega, right? You have bodegas, yes, you do. You've got surf shops, yes, you do. Where did all that stuff come from? Half of it came from China. The other half of it came from British and American oil companies. So Florida ain't need to be so red, guys. Florida ain't need to be so red. Oh man, if CNN is covering new Christian evidence, I can't wait to see it. Yeah, I'd love to see it. CNN, they're shills, they're sellouts a little bit. And yeah, I think that's a much better place to put, yeah, where does religion fit in society? Debates, maybe not debates, even discussion of evidences and things like this, as well as being able to discuss like a faith-based belief. Sure. Yeah, of course, right? Be able to discuss a faith-based belief, but also not prescribing policy for it, guys. I'm gonna 10 times out of 10 vote against that. I'm gonna put my foot down on it, I think. I'm YouTube channel hoping while I can wait relay blessings in Warframe. Cool. Hey, shout out to you, Nanology. Yeah. I'll check you out. I'll check your stuff out. Love just offering subscriptions to other people creating content. Yeah, it takes a long time. I've been doing content now for like 2 years, and um, yeah, yeah, this is where I am, right? Whoa, what happened here, dude? What is this? Oops. I lost Wi-Fi, guys. I think I lost Wi-Fi, so I will have to look at that later, but hopefully it's still working. I have just the phone right now, so I'll try to. It's very scary to see that. Very scary. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My name is Norman Bates. Oh, cool. Hey, Bates Motel. Cool meme PFP and stuff like that. Good to see you. Cool. Life is all right, guys. Life is okay. How's your guys' life? How's everything for you guys? How is everything for everybody? Hey, we're the monkeys. People say we monkey around. We're just too busy explaining. People gonna monkey down. Hey, we're the monkeys. Yeah, small habitats too, right? MAGA had a small habitat, right? This is also what Charlie Kirk encouraged with Turning Point USA. So obviously, rest in peace, Charlie. This is also, let's not put it all there. Joe Rogan as well. Joe Rogan said, hey, look, you guys can know about Pizzagate. You can know people talk about flat Earth. You can know that there's two opinions about racism in the United States. You can know there's two opinions about UFOs or UAPs. There's people who talk about it and people that don't. And Charlie Kirk said, yeah, you can know religious iconography. You can know the bumper stickers, and then you can know the disgusting trash heap, which is leftism. Donald Trump said the same thing. He said, "No MAGA, know my book, know the faces and names I put up to you, and yeah, know the book, and then disgusting leftists, right?" And so there's no substance. There's not really a substantive idea. The substantive idea looks like a very failing startup or small YouTube channel or what it should be. And yeah, so that's interesting because this is like a habitat. When we actually go out in the world or we ask, what's at a grocery store? What's at a convenience store? What can you actually do at a car dealership? What can you actually do when you're renting an apartment or something like this? What can you do when you're opening your mailbox and getting the advertisements and your bills are coming in? And yeah, who knows, a couple times a year, a friend sends you a letter, something like that. So these are all the types of things that are very narrow in the world. And so this is silly because if I'm a narrow YouTube channel, I do politics, I do political science, which in the big scheme of things is very narrow, right? I'll say two different things about democracy and democracies. They can fail or succeed. I don't have other opinions about a democracy or democracies than democracies can fail or succeed, right? I can talk about why I think it might be. I can talk about how I analyze the news based on that. But, right, I'm not offering you a worldview on my YouTube channel. Not really. I'm trying not to. I should probably think about it, but I'm not trying to do that. And so when we think about locking into our environment or ecology and narrowing the set of variables or the set of options, the things we sense about, this is one of the tactics. It's not like a tactic. It's just what evolves. When Donald Trump said this Joe Rogan guy is more successful, he's more successful than my appearance on The Apprentice, and I don't like that. I don't like that Joe Rogan has more fame and success than me because I didn't succeed with my show The Apprentice. People laughed at me. People thought it was a meme. People thought it was a joke. I played into it as much as I had to, but I actually, in reality, I found it quite abusive, or I found it quite distasteful that I'm President Trump and I'm not that popular. It's very, very stupid. I would much prefer Charlie Kirk to be. Yeah, I would as well. Yeah, absolutely. who knows? I'll maybe get a restream subscription when YouTube money comes in. Those, it's all very expensive, so I'd prefer to buy a year subscription if I'm going to do that, and maybe show some videos some days of the week or something. Just kind of be casual, whatever. Be able to say hi to people, open the panel. But yeah, right now, I don't know. Maybe if you guys want to do open panel later tonight or later today, if like Taco's not live, maybe I'll do a panel or something. If other people aren't live, but yeah, who knows? Who knows? Hey, we're the monkeys. People say we monkey around. Yeah, and so you guys sit and chat. You guys type on your keyboards. I talk up here, right? That's the narrowness of how this works because I have a cell phone. That's the narrowness of how this works because my Wi-Fi is not working. Let's try this again. Oh, there it is. Hey, what do you know, guys? I got Wi-Fi back up. All right. Here you guys go. Oops, very weird. Yeah, so 45% of people, young men, will voice their opinion that that they're part of organized Christianity, and then 49% of people don't see that Donald Trump or MAGA is going after civilization. So those are bad statistics. We have to fix that, or people have to not have an opinion about it. Hey, what's going on, MST? Yeah. Who's James Carville? Aren't you like James Comey? Hey, we're the monkeys. People say we monkey around. We're just too busy entertaining. Hey, we're the monkeys. I'm just kidding. People say we monkey around. I don't know what happened. Boy, I got really timed out on this chat here. This is really bad, guys. Oh, man. Hello from Ohio. Hey, shout out to you in Ohio, Baron Marker. Good to see you again. I think I've seen you before. We're old, tired pals now. Heck yeah. Hello from Ohio. Hello from Arizona. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, Mahad Nadim. Good to see you. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to everyone. Love from Tel Aviv. Love from Tel Aviv. Cool. Shout out to Israel. Shout out to the world of Israel. Shout out to the world of Israel. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Dancing on the Sun? Good to see you. How you doing? How are you doing? Why do people? Yeah, because the religion produces corruption, right? There isn't a grounding or foundational idea in Christianity, Judaism, or Islam. The text is written to manipulate people. The text is written based on things that are not held in human psychologies or physiologies, right? And so if you're like, and you cannot just become a Buddhist spiritualist to overcome this objection, in my opinion. So you say I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Jew, I'm a Hindu, I'm whatever it is. And a Buddhist would say, okay, well, you're still, before all of those things, you're an animal that evolved on planet Earth. And so prior and before you became religious about a monotheistic, universal, unifying, singular God, right? in Islam, they'll say Allah is unified with all of nature, all of the things, our moral judgments, our minds, these are all things that Allah has access to. And in Christianity, they say, yeah, it's omnipotent, it's omnibenevolent, it's omni all of these things, right? And it's just the way you want it, actually. In fact, there is no difference that you have to do a faith-based exploration. So it is this stuff. It is this side of things. Yeah, that's not gonna fly, brother. That ain't gonna fly, brother. We were doing super well too. We were doing super well, right? My butt is not your butt, bro. I'm telling you this, bro. Thank you, Anna. Thank you. Anna, do you wanna build a snowman? Come on, let's go and play. I've never seen you anymore. It's out the door. It's like you've gone away. Yeah, and so religion can be blamed because religion, the idea can be criticized. If you don't think that religion is part of a praxis, then I think you are missing a huge part of society, right? Praxis is maybe a political or social action that you believe comes true. So you say something like, well, the praxis of the chattel slave trade in the United States was that you're importing people, you're breeding, you're forcing humans to breed unwillingly, so it's grape, right? And then you're selling them, right? You're separating families. Everything is based to property. There is no values in the process, right? Everything is an economic transaction. It's chattel slavery. And so this is a type of praxis, but then you see that religion can be used as a justification for people to support violent forms of national security that have nothing to do with actual national security. Religion can be used to split up opinions and ideas, and in a culture, religion is used to say, well, it's not that big of a deal that someone who is supposed to be charitable, supposed to be a willing servant of God, has $1 million. Why, if you're doing God's work, why on God's earth do you have $1 million, or why would anyone, even, no matter what your opinion on things are, why would anyone who's serving God have more than $1 million? And yet it's very common. It's very common people describe their identity as a Christian identity and will have more than $1 million. That isn't a Christian identity, right? It never can be. Hey, thanks, Tyrell. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. We're all different. It will be okay. Yeah. And so putting first the physical, causal, inferential, deductive sense of things into just what the world is like, as well as being super curious about people's stories. That's really important. Being super curious about open discussions and dialogues. That's super important. What's not important to me is making excuses once you see things go beyond a certain point. If you confess with your mouth, the Lord Jesus believes. I don't believe that, yeah. People repost all that all the time. If you earn your money, meaning capitalism, I think it's yours. Yeah, I think it's fine to have an individual identity, but saying the Protestant ethic speaks louder in practice and not in mind for is not that's nowhere in the Bible, right? It's nowhere in the Bible that once you found out you can be successful, once you learn the lessons of the system, you shake the hands, you walk the factory floors, you can walk through data centers, right? You can Google how every single product, every single application on planet Earth works. You can download like a canvas builder, like drag and drop programs, and literally you can rebuild applications in your home. You can download CAD software for free and redesign every product that you've ever bought. And so you're a Christian and you say, okay, well, this is how this worked. Well, what did Jesus do? He served the poor. He served the parts of society, physical, tangible parts of society that no one else cared about. And so I think in capitalism, you're absolutely correct. I agree with you. I would talk about that endlessly. I would talk about endlessly how energy energy is not bad, right? It's not bad that we run on fossil fuels. It is bad that we do so with zero stewardship. It's really bad we do so with no plan to actually capture risk. It's with no plan to geopolitically redistribute the sort of the value that we've ascribed to Earth's resources, with no plan to make society more humble about things. But that isn't about Christianity at all. Hey, cool. Thanks, Anna. Good to see you. Thanks. Appreciate moderating and contributions, Anna. Thank you so much. Everyone, thanks to Anna. Shout out to Anna JG. We got Anna JG in the house. Thank you, everyone. And so the Protestant ethic with Max Weber and many others, that captures this idea that you're in the Bible or something like this, and you're good at your job. You've done everything that you can possibly do to see where something might start. And after doing this, if your labor produces, right, in Lockean thought, your labor is what produces additional value in the product. Your labor is what makes it your property. Marx says your labor produces the value. But in any sense, Christianity comes through and says, well, this is what the earth is like. This is what natural law is like, or something, and so this is the one way you're allowed to describe it. That's still right. That isn't, it should be in the Bible. Wouldn't you think that God would have some sort of solution for this? None of the Old Testament's fights, none of the disagreements in Jesus's lifetime, Jesus's own crucifixion at the hands of a bureaucracy, none of these things had to do with this type of thinking, the lack of philosophy, the psychologicalization of things. Again, removing from someplace else, removing a physical causal lever that exists on God's green acres. The Bible certainly cared about causality in some sense. They talked about age all the time. You had the age of giants and the age of people living to 900 years old. People would meet or marry or become politically important at a certain age in the Bible. These are physical things, right? These are not mental. It's not a mental concept to be 900 years old. That's a physical one. It's a supernatural physical concept. So my answer to that is sea sponges, right? Sea sponges are magical. Sea sponges have biological traits you and I don't. Sea sponges are not just biologically unique, but you could hire Michael fucking Bay to write a movie about sea sponges and you'd be blown away. You are going to learn things about sea sponges you never thought you could learn. And so you saying that someone can be good at your craft, well, you're not a sea sponge. We live in a society where things can be studied. Money and capitalism is not a sea sponge. You can support capitalism. In fact, many of the best who have ever done it do. And you're still not a fucking sea sponge. Right? And so that, to me, that's an unacceptable narrative and argument. It's not about something I entertain. I'm never going to actually lower myself intellectually, physically, or politically to entertain that type of argument. That's a story that Uncle Sam tells people. Uncle Sam tells people, if you worked on it, it's your property. And Uncle Sam tells you this because Uncle Sam doesn't have a better opinion. Uncle Sam is supposed to be a cartoon character. Right? Uncle Sam isn't supposed to say, hey, I'm going to preach your morality. It looks like it from the book of laws I'm looking at, if you made it, you own it, right? If you made it, you own it. If you worked on it, you own it. It's your property. Uncle Sam will tell you this. He'll tell you, go argue about it in the courtroom. And then Uncle Sam will say, yeah, that was kind of cartoonish. At the end of the day, it turns out other fuckers want it too, right? And so, you can go back to that 1776 moment and say, well, pretty obvious back then, right? There were British fuckers, there were Spanish fuckers, there were French fuckers, and they all wanted the same basic deal of it. And so, hey, Indigo Knight's in the house. Good to see you. Happy freaking Wednesday. I hope you're doing okay. And good to see you. James says, so arrogant, cool. Being a good person is absolutely the best thing that a person can do. So hopefully everybody believes that. Hopefully everyone believes and knows that. Why you Christian worship a man who is only a messenger? Yeah, good question. You worship a man in Jesus who wasn't capable of talking about causation in the world or causality. You're talking about somebody who I've called a political gimp, right? Someone who cares deeply about social stratification, about social stratums. Jesus cares deeply about the have-nots. He cares about where it comes from, and he cares about your spirit, right? Obviously, he emotionally reacts to the Pharisees. So we're supposed to, he emotionally reacts to the Jewish scribes and the holy men of the day. Jesus emotionally reacts. He takes actions one way or another based on society. But he's a political gimp. You have to wait for older German scholars. You have to wait until the 1000s before people start looking at Jesus as a historical character, as someone who was a political and social reactionary. Before this, he was the Jewish Messiah. Before this, he was the fulfillment of Judaism, all the way through. And so, yeah, it's very silly. Hey, Jeff Epstein, good to see you in the UK. Yeah, shout out to you. Yep. Yeah, plantations, and our laws in the United States have always been split between north-south factions. We have factions in the US, right? Our factions in the United States, because we're such a large landmass and always we're going to be. And so this was really interesting, learning that it's not just that the North and the South had different Bibles. You had slave Bibles, and then you had whatever. You had your other Bible. You have different laws, right? The laws in the United States are incredibly diffract until later you have a more powerful federal Supreme Court, right? Magistrates are not supposed to be ruling on positive freedoms and what one can do, but are supposed to be legislating based on liberties, right? Based on liberty, based on one's right to themselves and what they own. And so even when this, this is refined later on, you still get then divides on top of it, right? Maybe this is a result of capitalism. It's a result of just societies in the first place. Name a society where it hasn't happened or it happens differently. And that's actually an uncomfortable but useful talk. Yeah. Hey, yeah, maybe I would like to lift weights all day. That would be cool. It just brings order. That's it, brother. What's the big deal? Yeah. Sharia law equals order, so it's good. Jurisprudence, you're a step ahead, right? If I was trying to be super honest about criticizing Sharia law, because I would criticize Sharia law, there isn't really jurisprudence in Sharia law. Jurisprudence regarding the nature of the law, it's basically an incredibly subjective interpretation of what a family has to be like in a society. So to me, that doesn't look like the law at all. It looks like authoritarianism. It looks like authoritarianism and theocracy by a different name. And it looks like it is authoritarianism with traits of autocracy, right? Traits of autocracy. You ultimately have appeals to single individuals who use their intuition, discerning, and judgment to do Sharia law. Yeah, and so the U.S. justice system also is not perfect, but Sharia law is also way worse. It's not order. It's not order. It's subjective interpretation of the law, in my opinion. Yeah, and so within American law, you have within American law you have this aspects before, during, and after law is written and enforced, and so I think it's definitely worth bearing consideration. And if the nature of the law is about exerting force in a Hobbesian sense, you can also say that, well, the evolution of Hobbesian notions towards civil society and democratic inclusion should also be spoken for, whatever the correct word is, right? There should be transparency, and there should also be accounting for injustice anywhere in a society. That's the nature of injustice and justice. I didn't see it. It sounds like a cult. It sounds like there was a cult, right? When I see things, when I see a religion that has control of people's bodily autonomy, when they are redefining social terms like the law, right, like slavery, when they're redefining like relationships between people's finances and other things, those look like cults, not religions, So tithing is one way the church has maintained control and influence and powers. You always just had to pay your taxes to the church. But I could see someone making the argument that, well, hey, if our church, we support a a 10% tithe or a 20% tithe, whatever ridiculous number you want to come up with. And it's just that, right? It's a flat rate. There's no other grift. There's no social pressure. It's, the tithe exists. And if you want to do it, cool. Enjoy the fruits of your labor within the church or something. To me, politically, that seems like a little more real than setting up cult-like systems where you have psychology and personal relationships enforcing new norms, new ideas about how people spend their time and what they think about, right? When you start talking about people's time, what they think about, when you start talking about people's environment, redefining what their environment is like versus letting the human animal do this, these are all facets of cult-like behavior and control. Yeah. And so it's very strange. A lot of times in cults or religions, people say, well, you either give this sort of this almost godlike Godhead sort of power to a person or to a book, right? Again, get yourself closer to the iconography, get yourself closer to, on Ducks Y, my Nike swoosh, my Nike shoes, get closer to the action, everybody. Get closer to the microphone. I'm talking into the microphone. I've got all the pictures. Whatever I'm messing up right now. There's books. Here's the small book stack, guys. Yeah. Donate some money so I can buy some books and buy streaming software, everybody. But no. Yeah, if you have an opinion on abortions, then yeah, speak freely, right? Of course, speak freely. Of course, speak freely about it, whatever it is that you want to speak about. Yeah. Yep. Do so non-linearly, right? Think about the argument you want to make. If you have a political, social opinion on abortions and to you it's like a genocide or it's not like a genocide, it's a women's rights issue or it's a health issue, go ahead and tell me which one it is, right? Go ahead and tell me which one it is, and I'm happy to take a look at your argument, or just if you don't have to say it, I just won't respond if it's not for that. I'm boring, tell me a story. Jeffrey was precious, handsome, and kind. He stumbled onto a channel called Ducks Y. He found some friends, messages unread. He had no idea the ideas in his head. The man in front of him gooning on cam. The man in front of him gooning in ham. The man in front of him gooned on the bed. The man in front of him gooned in his head. Instead, Jeffrey was special. Jeffrey was the next thing that earned his attention. Gooning and gooning and gooning and gooning and gooning and gooning. The excess of the goon was what Jeffrey would now do. The excess of absurdity can be placed in the goon. The excess of love, of joy, and of music could be placed in the goon. All for the gooning, 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 goon. Welcome, we're a politics gooning channel. Shout out. $8. Yeah. My name is Ducks Y, and I'm here to tell you if you got hate in your heart, you got PTSD. I want to tell you have any of those newfangled mental illnesses in the DSM, performative, by the way. You got a credit card debts. I want to tell you haven't found either Mohammed or Jesus in your heart. I want to tell you don't have your own version of the Hindis. You haven't had a Baj Gupta, the whatnot. You hear these things on television, ain't sure where to place it. I want to tell you your PTSD, political anxiety, social anxiety, wealth, money, finances can all be placed in the goon. Yes, sir, I am a professional goon coach. I goon the goon. I goon the goon. I goon after I goon. I goon to think more about gooning into the future. Like all things, of course, right? Lady folks, they don't want to hear about the goon, but once again, it is what it is. So it is what it is. Defeat my argument. That is my debate point for this time. Gooning can solve any problem in the world. Donald J. Trump should start gooning more often. Oh, shout out, Jeffrey. Cool. Say your shahada. Say your shahada to Allah. Alhamdulillah. Praise be to God. Alhamdulillah. Are you deconstructing? Alhamdulillah. This is a deconstruction channel. So guys, my name is Duck. I do religious deconstructions. I used to do formal reconstructions of things needing to be reconstructed. That's basically what all jobs are. And so, yeah, relative to my deconstructive habituation, of course, I've heard people called Habibi. I've heard them called Bibi. That's Benjamin Netanyahu. And so we can see there's really no differences between religions and the whatnot. Genghis, I don't really answer personal questions online. I was not in the army. I do stolen valor, right? I do stolen valor. My hope is obviously that, veterans, just like my grandpa, my grandma, my other granddad, my other grandmom, you guys got that leg up. You guys want to send me some money or something like that, guys. Dude, I'll talk about sick fake spy stuff I learned off Quora. I'll talk about sick military stuff I learned off Quora. I'll talk about Donald Trump. I'll talk about Christianity, Islam, political science, guys. I can, when you guys say, if it's good enough or whatever, your term of art, you want to know those types of questions. Sometimes I'll pick up on it. When I can, I'll talk about it, right? When I can, I'll talk about it. So yeah, send me some money. Of course, the military grift is the best grift that has ever been known to man, right? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I wasn't in the military, and yeah, despite begging for money on YouTube, I prefer to just kind of hang out and talk for the majority of it, and that's it. Yeah, figure out the value of a dollar, the value of a penny, the value of a quarter, all those things, boy. All those things. The super chat gluck, as it's been called. Jesus Christ. Resiliencies and the whatnot. Resiliencies. Yeah. All the things I do for myself and my family. All the things I do for myself. Hey, love you too, Mao Zombie. For the goon? Yeah. Yeah, if you guys put it in the email, I'll send goon videos. No. One has no idea, right? One has no idea. But yeah, I recommend people, yeah, if you guys do support creators on YouTube, throw some gems in your account or something, support other creators, hyping the stream helps. This is what I would say is, yeah, when you guys give gems, it hypes the stream. Those jewel gifts that you can see by the spinning present. YouTube uploads new ones each day. Super chats get your message on screen. Super stickers keep the stream moving. And yeah, memberships show continued support to the channel. Gift memberships are cool and stuff like that. Yeah, and so yeah. And I obviously love seeing other creators be successful. I'm in the U.S., so when I'm out begging for money on the side of the street or whatever happens next to me, yeah, I will be, when I reach that level of acclaim and achievement, I will have prices in USD begging by the side of the highway with my cardboard sign. And so, yeah, my prices are USD here. I obviously love seeing other people be successful. It's cool to see my own subscriptions and stuff, people bringing stuff in. You to be a Muslim means to believe in impropriety. Don't be rude. He's lame, but he's probably, yeah, I mean, I think it does require an abductive explanation in my view. If people say any book is perfect, and right, this is like debate 101, arguing religion, either apologetics or counter-apologetics 101, right? If you say that the good parts of the Quran and Surah, or the good parts of the Bible, the good parts of the Old Testament, the good parts of the old, whatever, the dharmic texts of dharmic religions. If you tell me the good parts require an explanation because they're too true or too good to not be of God, and it just makes sense like that, okay, cool. I can also say, well, it makes sense also then you need to explain why the bad parts are like that, obviously, that's how I say that personally. And yeah, no offense to anyone, but yeah, that's how I see it. Yeah, and I'll mention, guys, if you guys refresh. Oops. I'm sorry, guys. I hit the wrong button. So I'm so sorry about that. Can you guys hear me? I just want to make sure I still got audio. I put on a better microphone, so hopefully you guys can hear me. But yeah, if you guys check the blog, hey, Chris, good to see you, homie. Happy Wednesday or whatever it is. Oh my God, are we doing science stuff? We're going to do science stuff? That's pretty cool to me. Should we do science stuff? Heck yeah, brother. If the universe began with the Big Bang, it was an explosion or just really reality waking up, or really just reality waking up? Yeah, that's a crazy question, right? A crazy question. Is there any mind in the universe? That's the first question that comes to my mind is there any mind in the universe? That's cool. Let's go, baby. Hey, Chris, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to throw you up in chat a little bit. I put up a new poll. Let's see if my poll pops up, right? Whoa, it's not even showing up for me, dude. There it is. There's the poll. Yeah, Chris, I popped you up in the chat right there. There's a special Chris L answer in the poll. Shout out to you. What a good question. What a good question. That's super cool. 11 UFO scientists died in the USA with alleged swish. Yeah, really wild, right? You know, people are, you know, I don't know what probability or percent there is that anyone who's a researcher or a scientist or has seen or worked on or understands or does something was subject of state violence, state-sponsored violence, a nation state committing violence. But to me, the sketchiness of it seems like it is overwhelmed by the fact that it is such a small probability that's actually what happened. Yeah, communism, who knows? When I'm super depressed, I think, oh, let me wiggle out of this too. And my form of, you know, I think what communism also is yeah, that's right. Also, it's solving problems, but also it's putting me back in a little box where I can't actually do what I want in any world, right? Actual communism or authoritarianism, actual like federal technocratic planning is telling you these are the things that are optional and these are the things that are not, right? That to me, that's not neo-Hobbesian. Neo-Hobbesian is saying, yeah, you're going to have to figure out some stuff, but contextualize it, right? Here's the banana for scale is in the West in America, people have been complaining about taxes for years. They've complained about 3 pennies coming out of their paycheck. They've complained about $5, $10. They've complained about 30 cents coming out of their paycheck. They've complained about $30 coming out of their paycheck. And the reality is no, you never did actually think about what a dollar is worth. When you say you did, you didn't actually put that in reality. You made up some narrative, you know, some Jesus, Jesus loved me type narrative about what that 20 or 30 bucks is. So absolutely, I believe in, demand side stuff is a great conversation. Absolutely, I believe supporting politicians like Zohran Mamdani in New York is a way or a conversation we can have, but absolutely not talking right away about like Marxism, absolutely not talking about, having all Republicans come over to be like Bernie Sanders. I love Bernie. I don't believe in any of that stuff, though, to be totally honest. Yeah, because intellectual property, right? A great example of when shoes get expensive. If you guys have ever been to what's it called, Bergsdorf or Saks Fifth Avenue, like luxury shoes can easily be like $250, $300 for tennis shoes. Luxury shoes can be more than that. You can pay $600 or $800 for Gucci shoes.
And even really ugly shoes that you never think someone would wear, or they kind of look like Nikes, but they're not Nikes, can easily be over $200, and they're not good running shoes. They're not like high quality shoes. And so, yeah, when you go to like luxury stores like Bergdorf or Saks Fifth Avenue or Nordstrom's, their website stocks some of the most expensive shoes in the world made for $10. But for them, the intellectual property is the fashion design, right? It's the fashion quality. Maybe they'll say, well, these might be collectible one day. People will remember some of these sneakers, some of these shoes at some point. Fortune 100 executives and vice presidents and these people will collect shoes like this. So you can pay $400 to look like you belong because you look like you have the fashion. You can also pay $400 for those shoes in order to be like in order to like maybe have a future asset in that shoe or something like that. And so yeah, I do believe there's some reason stuff is so expensive, but it's weird because it's like, okay, well, you cannot contend, like, what I don't understand totally. I don't understand. Yeah, there's some value in the aesthetic. There is a lot, maybe. Look at Banksy art, look at fine art, look at antiques. There's absolutely value in just non-tangible stuff, right? But that non-tangible asset class, can you relate that back down to your more close political, social, and economic values? A lot of people can't, right? A lot of people can't. You want to buy a nice thing, or you want to buy something interesting. You want to have an interesting time. Well, you can have interesting time. You want to have like a lightweight hard work at something else. Cool. But you can have lightweight hard work doing activism, or lightweight hard work thinking about something else, something differently. And so a lot of times people build professional organizations or build professional style collections of stuff, of clothes, of whatever, all this stuff. And it's just really bad. Hey, Mr. One Boston, good to see you. Yeah. Yeah. And so knowing the value of $1 or $5 and knowing the biological sort of cues and changes, right? I like being aware a little bit of that. I'm not Freud. I'm also not Eliud Kipchoge. I'm also not LeBron James. I'm not a professional athlete. I'm also not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. And so I'm not trying to psychoanalyze myself for every little thing I buy, but I do care a lot, right? I do care a lot. I hope that comes through. Yeah. Hey, Mr. One Boston, if you got any of those jobs, you got any ideas for me, I would love to just be able to be myself, feel like myself, act like myself, be able to act like I care. But yeah, in the United States, we banned acting like we care. We banned actually caring. It became the virtue signal. So everything had to be about knowing how someone else cared. Everything in the United States changed to, well, I have to learn about why it is you care. So you talk to me like I'm a child. You talk to me like I'm an idiot. You talk to me like it's my first day on earth. And yeah, so this is the injustice I suffered. If you want to ask, I'll be very selfish. I'll tell you my injustice is I used to make over $100,000 a year. And then in just the US, this is what happened is people that actually cared about the work that got done and cared that if people were healthy or not. And yeah, I had a lot of problems and stuff I needed to work on myself. But you started telling people, well, if you care, right, you don't work, right? You're not allowed to care and work. And so it's very crazy. It's very crazy times in the US. Obviously, there are moms and dads raising their kids out of the trunk of a car in the United States. Obviously, there's moms and dads and people working 2 jobs. Obviously, there's people in the world living with famine, with war. Obviously, we're using our tax dollars to buy military equipment. Obviously, we're pushing the worst conversations possible up to the layer of Congress and the whatnot. And so these things are definitely way superior in terms of priority than my own grievance, right? My own problem I had in society. But right, who's going to stand up for me, right? Who's going to stand up for anyone? Who's going to stand up for people who don't have a voice in politics, right? No one does. No one does. As long as everybody's getting rich, it feels like this is what makes them happy. But this is also where extremism comes from, because people should be able to ask and question, well, what actually produces the change in society? If I care about change and I care about people, shouldn't it be the case that I can take a step back and learn? But I'm sick of waiting. I'm also sick of waiting because people have said we can impact other people's lives. Are you sick of waiting? What about you guys? Are you guys tired of not knowing? Are you guys tired of being talked down to like you're a kid, right? And so I don't have a better way to voice my own experience, and I'll come through and say what's up, because whatever, it's YouTube. But yeah, and stuff like that. But hey, Fox Boxer, yeah, puppy dogs, definitely puppy dogs, donkeys, goats, puppy dogs, all those things. If anybody wants to send some either corgis or huskies in the super chats, the little gift things, the corgi huskies are super cute. Any super stickers, feel free. Hey, Jay Wrong, when will you shave? I probably will not shave. I've got the neck beard coming in, right? I just need to shape it. I need a beard shaper. Yeah, I need more electronic devices to shave. Yeah, I look like a lumberjack. That's badass. I'll take it. I'll take it. Are we doing something? Are we working? No, you're not. Answer, nothing. Space isn't moving into a container. It's the container itself stretching, like asking what's north of the North Pole. Wow, that's crazy. Wow. So that's cosmology, right? That's cosmology. That's saying that we're based on fundamental objects or something, or not even, right? Because a fundamental object isn't the container. It isn't the fundamental object like a string or a particle or a wave ontology. It would be, wouldn't it? It would be a wave ontology. Wave ontology. Yeah, it's not perfect, but that's what it is. It would be a wave ontology. And so, but that is telling us what we see in the container. It's also telling us perhaps some quality of what the edge or boundary of the container might be like, right? So it's quantum. It's also large and can be spatial. It can be temporal as we see it. But yeah, very solid stuff. I don't know. Cool. Yeah, and the whatnot. That's what I'm going for is PhD level YouTube. PhD level dumb YouTube on my part. There is no equality. Why don't you just do what you like so long as it's somewhat within the purview of the law? Yeah, I think that's fine, right? And so maybe one question to ask is what happens when we are not pursuing our own interests, not thinking of ourselves as a mind or psychology, but we're also considering other people, and either a law or a system is not congruent with our values, right? Something is not congruent with your values, right? And so, this can range from, because my example is I'm an ethical vegan. So if I go through a drive-through, maybe I get a Arnold Palmer or soda or some French fries, but my values are not congruent in any sense with the rest of the menu items, right? And I also recognize and appreciate, I have no opinion from a perspective of veganism about the people working at that restaurant to earn a paycheck, right? I have no opinion about that. And so when you say there's no equality, I just don't have that same starting point, right? I never thought in terms of equal, better, worse than, because I think that's very immature and sophomoric. And if you say that once, I can say it another 100,000 times. I can say the same exact thing 100,000 times. And it turns out that thinking, my development then, right? If I'm a computer program or like a simulation, that thinking doesn't apply to any other scenario, right? So I can let's just imagine I go through Hell Week with the Navy SEALs or something. And so I spend my next 3 months comparing myself to my team, comparing myself to our enemies and adversaries, and comparing myself in terms of physical fitness, mental aptitude, awareness, communication, and my ability to understand and manage the equipment, as well as my ability to adapt to change, adapt to new information in an operational capacity, right? In a readiness and operational capacity, and working towards operational completeness or something sick like that, right? So if I go become a Navy SEAL and I have 3 months of comparisons, well, on day 91, on the first start of the new time period, something new happens, right? I may think I'm applying those same lessons of comparisons and better, worse than, or equality. But if it's something new, I have a new president, or there's someone introduces a new idea I've never heard before, I have the choice to either still just be the same fake Navy SEAL I was before, or I can choose to become this new fake person, once again, now comparing myself based on something else. Maybe it's not how I am who knows? Maybe it's not that I'm comparing myself better or worse than for my team, but I'm comparing myself for God and country, or I'm comparing myself for God and country from the 1776 moment, or God and country based on, the pesticides at Fort Bragg, or whatever it is, whatever story I was supposed to tell at that time. Who knows? Doesn't matter. It's not right. It is right. No one gives a shit, right? I go to Lori Piestewa Mountain and they say, hey, you used to carry 200 pounds up, but now we want you to do squats with 200 pounds at the bottom and then carry your ass up. Yeah, I might finish that task, but none of my equality comparisons are actually mathematically or inferentially precise. They were all done and wrong there. So I am figuring it out, right? So equality is not a layer of truth. Equality is not a source of truth in my view, right? I thought Navy SEALs just follow orders. I have no idea. I would be a fake Navy SEAL in that scenario. So that's cool. Hey, bro. Hey, sweet. Good to see you. Shout out. Explain your poll. I don't get it. Yeah. So when I say that it's like something to be me, here's an example, poetic example with glasses. So imagine our two. So first of all, our eyes do create a single vision. Don't overcomplicate it, but our eyes do different things. Left and right eye do different things. But imagine I have two different ways, simply poetically, performatively, I have two different ways to view time. I have two different ways to view a mind, myself. In one view, mind is very clear. It's almost transparent. Just because it's actually like something to be me, it's like something I can feel the cold steel of my microphone. I can bounce it a little bit here, being careful because it's sensitive electronics. And I am going to set my heavy, well-made, expensive microphone back down, right? Very, very daintily. Just like I've seen the professionals put expensive microphones and audio equipment in cases. So I know I treat my microphone basically the same way. And so because it's like something for me, I feel stress, I feel wonder and awe, I feel the cold steel. This is my mind. This is what the universe is actually like, is there's experience. There's a sensuousness to things. And in the other view, I actually, I know I have all the exact same things. I'm pulling my eye over saying, yeah, I have a mind. It's like something, just like my dog loves eating bacon. My dog loves it when I drop food on the floor. My cat loves it when, they ask to go outside and I let them out, then they come back and we'll purr together or something. So sensuous, still that same sensing, feeling, cold steel nature of respect and lovingness and just that kind of stuff a little bit. But the reality is, in this physical universe, the mind is an illusion. Everything about the cold steel, it's my nerves and my mind telling me of this cold steel, of the sensuous nature of it. Somehow it just escapes neurons. You have neurons and then mind is totally separate. And that's just how it is, right? We curiously, maybe incidentally discovered neurons, but because it's not causally related, they can be really far apart in our brain, when we're thinking about it, when we have an idea about it or something. But yeah, so that's what the poll means, is that, is it the case that my mind is an illusion, that everything goes back down to like saying I have a cup, but the universe has a cup, physics has a cup, or is it the case that mind is like this side and I have a set of glasses or something like this? Hey, what's going on, Pigs Roast? Man, I've been diagnosed with being a gooner, bro. Philosophical and politics goon, right? Yeah, any kind of goon stuff. I've been diagnosed of being accused of being Canadian all the time too, but I believe it's all types of other stuff. Whatever. I don't know. I'm trying to be a good community participant on YouTube. If you guys are enjoying the content, you want to support the channel, you want to support approachable, sometimes advanced conversations, intellectualisms, hanging out, talking about gooning, talking about masculinity, sexual relationships with any number of people, consider tapping the gift button, sending either a husky or a corgi. I love the little puppy dogs YouTube put up. They're very cute. Those make me really happy to see. You guys can hype the channel. Obviously I get that, I love eating a nice meal at night. I've got my favorite warm blanket. I know that society is just some way, but if y'all hook up your card to support me or support your other favorite YouTubers, people doing amazing work like all of us, right? and we're working on, finding small ways to kind of pay our bills, improve content, pay our bills, support other creators, support other audiences, make social media a real driver for values, for change, stuff like this. Really support just whatever is going on today. Social media is that thing. Please consider supporting things. In real life, my name's Duck. Online, yeah, this channel is Duck's Y. Online, my name is Duck. And yeah, Duck loves talking about philosophy. He will talk too much. There's always interesting conversations. There's always people in chat getting more value out of the chat conversation than I can while I'm streaming. So this is what you're actually supporting. And this is also true. You see a Gooner channel, you see comedy channels, you see people doing collectibles, people doing lifestyle vlogs. Everybody. Sometimes it's opposite, right? Sometimes the person on the other end of the camera is sharing their experience. They're offering support. Sometimes they're actually building that chat environment, right? Sometimes they're asking for support to come back to them. A lot of times they're pushing that support down to the audience. So people that have been successful, I've been on YouTube for 2 years. I made my first dime off YouTube from a random donation 3 months ago. Didn't make any money in the 3 months since. And since I got monetized, yeah, I've made a little money on YouTube. And so, yeah, ask me how I did it and stuff like that. I'm happy to talk about it when people have legit questions. And I really mean that. I really am happy to have the right conversation, but it is good work. So if you guys would consider it, super stickers, super chats, I like the little corgi husky things, whatever, but hype the stream, however you like to donate. Those features are set up for you and me as well. And so, yeah, and of course, enjoying the content. We'll get back to some interesting conversations. Hey, I have grandparents who are either Central or Eastern European. So it's ambiguous. Yeah. My grandma and grandpa on my dad's side, we lost the lineage. We lost the story of the lineage. So we don't know. We actually don't know who everyone is or where everyone's from and stuff like this. But yeah, I know I'm Italian, German, sort of European dude. I've been in the United States for a long time. I don't really think about identity like that. Maybe I should, right? There's some genetic drive that I'm just not aware of. But yeah, I'm in Arizona in the Southwest United States in the desert. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Chris. Someone says F Israel 8647. Yeah, the James Comey indictment is really crazy. 86 is like in the vernacular, right? In the common tongue, the lingua franca, 86 is not a euphemism it's used in the workplace. 86 is a euphemism that I heard at a call center. We used it. It was the correct professional language in restaurants. And so to say that James Comey should be indicted for posting a napkin that had scribbled on it 8647, just like, yeah, could we be down? Yeah. So 86 means to be out of something. 86 in restaurants means you're out of something. So you would say 86 ketchup, or you would say, hey, like the lunch special, let's say you have French onion soup you're selling, or you're selling a croque monsieur, right? A standard French language, you would say 86 the lunch special, 86 croque monsieur. And then someone might update the point of sale system. Or if you say, hey, we're 86 silverware, we're 86 plates, you would have to go to the back and stock plates. You would go to the back and do the stocking you should have already done. So 8647, simply enough means one thing. It means, not like either get rid of or we're out of. There's no more things that Donald Trump's contributing to the presidency. And it's just weird, if this phrase is used by millions of people in restaurants every day, why are you even explaining this to people? Why are you even going through and explaining this to people when and you have what seems to be a clearly corrupt Justice Department? I would be very shocked and surprised. So someone either like wants to bring us a dead squirrel, right? It's Kristi Noem's last shot, or Pam Bondi's last shot is, yeah, hey, Donald Trump, I wanted to go drop a squirrel on your doorstep. And it's really funny to me, right? It's really funny to us that we can indict James Comey because I know you didn't like him. So good, right? This is team contact sports, and I'm bringing a dead squirrel to your doorway, right? And so here's a Comey indictment for an Instagram post. James Comey says 8647. and an Instagram post leads to a DOJ indictment, right? An unsealed or sealed indictment. So it makes no sense. Many vegan push degrading manner. Just want to acknowledge your, hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate it. Huge appreciation and stuff like this as well. Non-judgment is huge because I don't know either, right? Some people would say the agreement is it hurts both of us, and that can probably even be made simpler. It's like, yeah, in some sense, it's not that the frustration and anger is bad. It's just there's always going to be something that rests on something not true, right? It's not true that when I was 16, I was a vegetarian when I was 16. When I was 16, I was not thinking every day about animal suffering. As a vegetarian, then I knew that I liked driving by cows, and when I drove by cows, I thought, oh, that looks like my dog, right? That looks like my dog, and so why not, right? This should be a bigger part of nature in the conversation. But I wasn't thinking every day about values. And yeah, I made all my money from age 16 through 22 selling animal food, right? Eventually, I was no longer vegan or vegetarian, and then I came back to it, right? So non-judgment to me is like, well, it's also a little compassion, but it's not, there's not like a thud moment, right? It's just, well, I don't know why they do or don't or whatever it is. World War 11. Yeah. World War 11. Yeah. Secret and blatant wars. Who knows? I've got no clue, right? There's no transparency. I would imagine, and just my like fake video game style, like I could imagine in the big scheme of things, the only things I care about accomplishing, I could very much easily imagine going forward or backing up, and there would be 100 wars that if I was president, there would be 100 wars that like we could in theory talk about fighting, right? I've got a bunch of these assholes that signed up to go fight, right? And so I can think of 100 different wars and ways we can fight, and so do you. As it turns out, you guys don't, but so do you, right? As it turns out, so do you, but so you don't, right? Hey, what's going on, Kate McDougall? Good to see you. But multiple world wars, aggressions, things like this. These are all awesome, like amazing, awesome. Like you could say Happy Wednesday to the presidents of the world in the European Union and be like, okay, are we talking about fighting wars? But if you're not going to do any of those, or none of them actually operate, none of them are actually competitively viable. They just make things worse. They're a drag. They're like an anchor. There's no way that they're like a skyhook or anything else. Then those are all things as well that I don't see a way that we can actually solve or do. Hey, what's going on, Lessons? Great to see you. Yeah, shout out. Yeah. Shout out to nice people and shout out to everyone. Shout out to people just living in an experience in life. I bet you are absolutely horrible to be around. Yeah, hey, thank you. Yeah, that's absolutely right, Ricky. That's absolutely right. Yep. If we are the universe observing itself, are we separate from it or just a localized perspective? If we are the universe observing itself, are we separate from it? I think most of my judgments or ideas are local. That's it. Yeah. Our military should be fighting fires and doing huge infrastructure projects instead of fighting wars. Yeah. So, right. Our military should be fighting fires and doing huge infrastructure projects instead of fighting wars. That's not what the military is for, though, right? That's not what the military is for. There is no equation in economics that you can just do state-sponsored stuff. You hire people to go fight and die for country. That's what you're going to be doing. You're going to go kill people, and then when if you're in the military, you're going to kill, support the killing, or you're going to be killed yourself, right? That's what a military is. And so I don't understand that you're not separate, your temporary arrangement of matter with opinions. Yeah. Hey, cool. Yeah, I would say that's absolutely right. Yeah. My local system doesn't describe the rest of me, right? One spot, this is what you get out of saying you're local physically, is one spot in my finger, one spot on my hand, one spot on my arm. Even though it looks like it very much is perceived and looks like it's part of a me, It really isn't, right? It may end up ultimately in a different universe too, right? But from a local perspective, which is operating based on the Planck scale and going from moment to moment, and more or less it works, right? It is what it is, not that big of a deal. Yeah, it's safe to say that this is my arm, right? When I say this is my arm, there is something that makes it my arm. And so this is what we get. We get, this non-linearity. It's not really paraconsistent. It's the same physical stuff, saying that, yeah, you have an arm. You also have local systems that really don't need to go on with each other. And yet they appear that they do, right? They appear that they do, and you still have the ordered or fine-tuningness of an arm or a handshake or a microphone. You still have the fine-tuning of a shoe. Yeah, awesome. Yeah. The genius of modern society and of biological humans. It is, whatever. I don't get it, right? I don't get it. I'm the cool guy, right? I'm the cool guy that's always beyond reproach. So this is the irony of it, is I can criticize Donald Trump all day, and then you guys will call me a violent leftist. And the reality is I'm not a leftist. I'm not violent. I'm just some dumb idiot with a microphone. I'm just some, like every other dumb asshole with a mic. I'm just like every other dumb asshole with a smartphone. And so is Donald Trump, right? So is Donald Trump. And so you get to decide between people that are just like you, just as constructed, just as made up, right? Just as digital. We're not in a simulation, but most modern physics is about digitalness. It is about digitalness. It is either about a state that operates like the same types of simulations we see in computers. It's just about as good, right? It's not real, but there you go. There it is. There it was, and there it goes. Right. And then the other side of physics is it is digital. It works like we imagine, like we want computers to work. And there you go. And so now Elon Musk is the expert on simulation theories. He really cares about the people. He really cares about people because he said, you can imagine yourself pouring a pot of coffee and the coffee filling up. And that's crazy to me. Right. That's the extent or the depth of it. One of my buddies, Matt, a long time ago, one of my buddies, he's a professional philosopher. He's now a professional philosopher, but he was kind of our tribal group leader kind of guy. He's my best friend growing up. And so, he went from like evangelical Christianity to philosophy, at that time, I think he met people playing Delta Force. We both played Delta Force online. It was this old PC game that you would install with a disc, not a CD. And, whatever, maybe it was a CD at that point in time, but it was like you would install games that were like 800 megabytes back then, or, like 800 or like 1.1 gigabytes would be the total installation. So it was like small mobile apps, and you would have large online games with, 16 players. It would crash your browser, having 16 people playing a game at once. But anyways, that's how I got into philosophy, was friends. I went to a good high school. And so when I stopped taking religion classes at Catholic school, I had literature classes. I had some humanities classes. I had government classes, and I drifted personally when I got older. I drifted to, I guess, political science. I'd say I liked it. I drifted to some political philosophy and stuff like that. My friend is a professional philosopher even to this day. And so, so that's how I got into that. And I'm 36 now, and I have had, in my adult life, probably since I was about 31, I started thinking more about patterns, about what is like a fractal actually like. If you say that there's a recursive pattern, or let's just say you see a system, to me, a system was evolving, right? And a system was evolving, and so it's physical. You can go poke it, touch it, measure it. A system evolved, and because I worked in business, so I would say, hey, how is the how is the venture capital or private equity system evolving? How is IP valued how is IP valued in different ways? Why is it the case we see different trading multiples? Why is it that we see different investment strategies on the level of businesses too? You know, they hire a new boss or you get promoted. These are investments. How does any of this work? And how does this make the world a better place? What does it ultimately produce or make better? Is this just a big labor, it's just a big labor Ponzi scheme? Is that right? Or what's the good stuff we're investing in? So I always, my personality is honestly, I always wanted to have thoughts like this. I wanted to research like that, like I'm working towards a moral end. So not always the most accurate. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, but I would say I've had 5 years, probably 4 or 5 years since I dropped out of that business world. I either dropped out or was not let back in or forced out. It feels like a gang stalk, but whatever. Anyways, outside of that, I'm not going to complain because that was 5-6 years ago. It was horrible, right? But anyways, I always wanted to do philosophy that applied to the world. And network theories and economics, right? These sort of utility-based or utility or like very much in some sense, they're like, you simplify the variables. If you can pull a scalar, if you can pull like these little stupid geometric values out of some data you have, that's kind of the best because people like looking at it and then they know what they're doing, right? They know what simple data is about, sometimes complex things. And so that's my friend got me into philosophy, and then my business experience when I got older got me back into it. And then my political science experience, my political theory experience really kept me focusing back on scholasticism a little bit, trying to be a little closer to what the texts actually say, the actual core arguments. I did a lot of that in my undergraduate degree. So I'd hope I'm good enough at that kind of stuff. And and so I've been doing So unlike some people, I've had 5 years in my life to do philosophy. I can't wait for what comes next. That's the honest truth. Yeah. So, who knows? Another dumb channel. I'm out. See ya, algorithms. Take care. Do you like, I don't know who Ray is. That's very funny though, God Eater. Very funny. Shush. Hey, Shy, what up? Good to see you. Why do you assume everyone who hates leftists support Trump? We don't. It's just common rhetoric, right? I think we could run into each other and figure this out. Guys like us could figure this out. But if you're asking why I think or assume or think everyone who hates leftists support Trump, is you're also telling me that it's not common in far-right chat rooms. It's not common in far-right chat rooms, far-right communities. It's not common in religious extremist groups to talk about hating leftists, violent leftists, right? This is what a leftist did, right? You have no causality except you being a bad person, right? You have no causality except you being a bad person is what these dipshits say. So to me, you're not representing my argument. You're also not representing reality. So lessons, there's really nothing for me to respond to other than the way I just did it. You're a midwit. I bet you're childless too. Whites have fallen so far. Cool. You can, I hope you can also never come back to my channel. Thank you. Appreciate you. There you go. Cool. Do. Ow. Man, I feel bloated today. I don't feel good. I don't feel bloated. I feel like my anxiety is bloating. Isn't that funny? Oh, man. I'm sorry. I got a bad attitude, guys. I got a bad attitude. Yeah. I'm not trying to make this Nate or Duck the musical, right? I'm not trying to make this Nate or Duck the musical. Not really. Ow. But I got to go check on a coffee pot too, guys. You guys want to chill for a minute? Cool. If not, thank you everyone who's been hanging out too. You guys are a lot of fun to talk to. I love having these kinds of conversations. I got to see if my coffee pot brewed. I posted earlier, it's not BS. You guys can see my coffee pot made half a pot of coffee and then it stopped working. So I'm going to go see if the coffee pot ever fired back up. But yeah, like I said, if you guys want to send any support or anything like that, cool. But also, don't, right? Don't listen to anything I say. I'll be right back, guys. I'll be right back. Whoops. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'll set some ambiance too. Hey, Mellow Turf. What up? What up? What up? Out. Oh, whoops. Dang, dude. I don't know how this got here. Whoops. I'll be back. Hey, Chris and everyone. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Maybe I'll start the stream in a little bit. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you, guys.